I've been asked recently whether you can attach ResinCrete to resin or resin to ResinCrete, and will it stay? Well, I've done the experiment quite a long time ago, but I'm going to show you an updated version of it using these two trays. I'm going to put half of it as ResinCrete and half of it as resin, but I'm going to do it in different ways. So I'm going to pour the ResinCrete first in one, and then I'm going to pour the resin in first in another and see if that makes a difference. Now I want to have a nicest shape here, so I'm going to quickly draw on here a rough sinus shape to be able to divide the two up like that. Now I'm going to make a dam that fits there in that rough shape to make sure it doesn't all flow over one way, and I've had an idea on how to do that. So I've got a piece of cardboard here. All I'm going to do is cut a line across that so it sits really flat, and then cut out a dam here, but that's only the beginning. If this works out really well, then I want a dam that I can use on more than one occasion and it to be the same each time I make it. So I've got my bit of cardboard cut out, and I've got two little legs on it because they're the bits that are going to fit in that ridge there. And now all I'm going to do is bend this cardboard up a little bit so it's not so rigid, and then make sure it'll fit. And now I'm going to quickly coat that with tape, or cover it with tape, and give that a squidge down, and then trim all the excess off. Excess tape, that is. Yeah, and that fits in there really well now. So I'll just quickly make another one of those, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. So I've got two of those now made. What I now need to make is my silicone dam. Now I'm going to be using the brush on silicone for this because it cures really, really quickly, and it means I haven't got to sit around and wait for too long for it to cure. The other thing is this silicone will not stick to these silicone molds and ruin them. And all you have to do is measure this out in equal parts. I'm not going to need much. I'm going to do them separately. So I think 15 grams of each one is probably going to be plenty. More than enough, I should think. There we go. I'll give that a quick mix. Now I've got loads of videos on how to make silicone molds with this that you can cast in on my channel. I'll link one at the end of this so you can check them out because it's such a brilliant product. I use it for so many different things now. There we are. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually wait for about 3 minutes to let this thicken up slightly before I go ahead and pour it in the molds. So I've got my dam in there now, and I'm holding that in position with the little legs down like that. Now what I'm going to do is pour this on here, making sure I get down those legs as well. And where I'm pouring it, that's going to be the back side, the bit I pour against. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. I'm doing this a bit awkwardly because I want to try and show you how to do it. Doing it kind of wrong-handed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold that in there until it's cured, and it shouldn't be more than at about 5 or 6 minutes. So I've just got to hold my hand here until that's completely cured. Now I could go over it with a hairdryer if I wanted to, but I haven't got enough hands. That one is cured enough for me to take my hand off it, and what I'm going to do is this one in exactly the same way, but off camera, so it's easier for me to do. Well, these are finished curing now. They've been about 10 minutes, and I was a little bit neater when I wasn't recording. So what I'm going to do now is just take these out of the mold like that, and they should come off the mold really easily. And then I'm going to take it off my piece of cardboard and just give it a bit of a tidy up with a pair of scissors like this. You don't need to, but I think that will help keep it tidy. And I'll also tidy up the back like that. And now that should fit in the mold any way that I wish it to go. And I can use this now multiple times whenever I want to use it. Now I'm going to trim a bit off each one of these sides because it's pushing the mold out a little bit, even though this is quite an old mold now and it's got a little bit baggy. And then I'll show you how I'm going to do my pouring. So these are all ready now, and as you can see, these molds are getting a bit past it, but I'm not worried because this was an experiment anyway. So what I'm going to do is pop that in there, pop that dam in there. I'm going to push it down so it makes a good contact with that, and then the same for this one. There we go. This one's going to have resin first, so I'm going to write that on the bottom. I'll write on the bottom of this one anyway. And now it's this nice smooth side that was up against the cardboard that I want to pour up to. And there might be a little bit of leaking going on, but hey ho. I don't think there'll be too much. So I'm going to need about 100 grams of ResinCrete for this. Oh, look at that, 99 grams. So I'm using 100 grams of powder, and that will mean I will need 30 grams of water. And as always, I'm now going to mix this up using a fork, because that is the quickest way to mix this up, and it gets rid of all the little lumps that you might possibly get in there. Such a great way to mix up any of these eco resins. There you go, look, all gone. All lumps are gone, and that's mixed up. So now I can pour this in. Now a little bit has come out there, but I'm not too worried about that as where I lifted it up. I'm going to just hold that closed on this side for the next 3 minutes, and then that'll be set enough for me to let go. While the ResinCrete one is drying, I've got it in my curing box. I'm going to pour the resin for this one to give it time to cure. I'm going to be using the 4-hour demold because I want it to cure quite quickly, and I'll use that again when I use it for the ResinCrete one. So I'm going to mix that up. It's a 1-to-1 resin, and I'll come back when I'm going to pour. So I'm ready to pour my resin now, and I'm going to remember to pour it the side where it was against the cardboard. Now, I'm not putting any colour in it because I'd rather see how well it's joined. If I put some colour in it, I'm not going to be able to see. I may put some dried flowers in it though. So there we go. And now what I'm going to do is get some tweezers and pop a few dried flowers in it. Remembering to put them in face down, because if not, they're going to be round the wrong way. Whenever you're putting anything in resin like this, always try and release the bubbles that are trapped underneath it, and then there's less likelihood that it will float up, because it's often the bubbles that cause it float up. And there's no leakage coming under that or under those edges at all, which is great. There we go. I'll leave that now for a few minutes. I'll let the bubbles come up that I've introduced through the flowers. And then what I'll do is I'll burn them off again with a long neck lighter. And now we can leave that to cure. So that one's poured now, and I'm ready to pour this one. The ResinCrete is cured enough for me to pour, but I did have a bit of a leakage. So all I'm going to do is break that away from there. I don't think I pushed the resin down, the silicone down enough on that one. You'd have thought if any of them were going to leak, I would do it on the resin, but let's get rid of that. And then I'm going to just give that a bit of a wipe out as well. There we go. So I'm going to pour my resin in. So I've poured that one now. I've put the flowers in it. I've poured that one. I've put the flowers in that one. All I've got to do is tomorrow morning, once this resin is cured, I can then add the ResinCrete to this side, and then we can see which one works the best, whether it's pouring the ResinCrete after the resin or pouring the ResinCrete before the resin. Now, I believe it's going to be this one, because I think the resin's going to attach to this much easier, because this is a porous product, where the ResinCrete is going to have to try and attach directly to a clear, very smooth, non-porous resin. But we will see. Well, this is all cured now, and I can take this dam out without dislodging this resin. There we go. So we've got a nice clean edge there. And now all I need to do is fill that up with the ResinCrete. That's all ready to fill. Just pouring this in now, and I'm going to pour it right up to the edge of where that resin is. There we go. And we're going to let that cure, and then we can see which method works the best. Well, these have cured enough now for me to be able to take them out of the mould. They've only been curing about 3/4 of an hour, so I'm not ready yet to do the test with them, because I think if I do the test with them now, that's an unfair test, as I haven't let it dry properly. So what I'm going to do now is let this dry for about 48 hours until it's fully dry. But they're looking very pretty. Where I overpoured the ResinCrete, I'll just trim that up a little bit using a knife, and all you need to do is go along it while it's still damp like this or not fully dry. Just take that edge off, and that makes it lovely and smooth. It's a lot harder to do once it's fully cured. And there's a little bit of underpour there of the resin. Take that out as well by just pulling that back, cutting very carefully, he says, around that there. beside the trays that have got which one is which. Resin first, ResinCrete first, and then we'll know which is which. Well, these are all cured now, and so I'm going to do a little test on them. Now, I'm not scientifically testing these, obviously. I'm just giving you an idea. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to drop them from that height. Okay, and that's the one with resin first, and that stayed together. And this is the one with the ResinCrete first, so that stayed together as well. Now, there is a very thin overlap of resin here, which is going to help this. So the next one I'm going to do, I'm going to drop it from slightly higher. So from about this height. And that's come apart. And that's the resin first. So let's have a look at the ResinCrete first. And that one hasn't come apart. And actually, that is really sealed in there, so firm. I don't think that is going to come apart. This just confirms what I've always found in the past. If you pour the resin first, then you don't get as good as connection. And if you pour the ResinCrete first, you get a really, really solid connection. So that is definitely the way I would go every time. I mean, I can't break that apart, which is brilliant. And I think this will work with all eco resins, but my favourite is always going to be the ResinCrete. I love the colour, I love the smoothness of it, I love the hardness of it, and I love how it feels in the hand. Let me know if you've tried this in the comments below, or if you've got any comments or questions, then let me know in below. Make sure to check out the video that I've got coming up next. I think you'll really love that one. It's on how you can use different things and what's the best thing to colour ResinCrete. Boo that like button, hit that subscribe button, but most of all, enjoy your resin. Take care. Bye.